Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making millions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might just sell credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/hidden. Protect yourself now at aura.com/hidden.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who has helped me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Anissa Hudak, who discusses with us sexual trauma and how to overcome that part of a person's past. She explains to us that the trauma people have experienced, sexual or otherwise, never goes away. It's always a part of you, but there are different events, different things that can trigger or activate thoughts of the past that can affect your current performance. And it's very interesting to learn what those various triggers or activation points are, how we as leaders can set up and establish the culture to where we can help people work through and adapt to a culture that is very accommodating to, and we want to help people to perform at their very best. Marty, what are some takeaways that our listeners can gain from Anissa?
Anissa explains how she got from the trauma being a bother or always on her mind to where it is who she is now. But she has done that through yoga, and she now teaches yoga for those that have gone through a trauma and how you can work through and get to the point where trauma doesn't bother you. It never goes away, but it does. You get to the point where it doesn't bother you.
And I think we as leaders who can become aware of different things that are keeping people from performing at their maximum potential, the greater benefit we can be to others. It's a great opportunity to listen and learn together. Anissa, it's great to have you with us. Our listeners, and Marty and I, are going to be very interested in some of your life experiences, but more so not the lurid details of, but I'm going to believe some number of our listeners maybe are or have recently experienced something of the past similar to yours. And I want to address this conversation, this podcast, to leaders of various organizations who might have an employee, might even have a family member who has experienced what you experienced, and maybe through something unknown triggered a thought which invoked a memory of the trauma and so forth. But Anissa, I think you have some very valid experience that our listeners can learn from in how we can help others get through whatever past memories they are experiencing. Anissa, great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Anissa, can you give us, I call it a 30,000 foot view, a summary of just a little bit of the past? You've experienced some, I think you call it sexual trauma. We don't need to go into great detail, but can you talk to us just very topically at the 30,000 foot level about just whatever you feel comfortable stating, so that our listeners, leaders, might be increasingly aware of the impact of what you've experienced and how it affects you?
Well, I know trauma. I know it intimately, and I'm by no means bragging. I grew up with trauma, PTSD. My dad was a non-vet. I've never not known PTSD or trauma. Aside from that, I'm a 2-time rape survivor. I've lost a child, and my husband was active duty and had been on 3 deployments. And so I know even more trauma. So I know trauma.
Okay. Have you felt unworthy? Have you felt on the downside of this? Is that kind of are there feelings that accompany that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Unworthiness, powerless. Yeah.
And now for the leader who is supervising people, and I don't suppose there's any general response to my question, but can you tell me from your experience how that might manifest itself? And I'm asking the question, Anissa, from the standpoint, you're relatively new with us. You've been with us for a couple of months or so, but I just kind of sense, well, maybe there's something. Is there, for you, and it may not be true with everyone, but are there some indicators that would, for us leaders, we could say that, okay, yeah, there's something that I want to work with you, Anissa, that I'm not giving up on you, but I just sense there's some indicators, there's something in your background that's keeping you from performing at your greatest potential.
You might hear things like, if something isn't quite right or up to standard, that employee might say, I'm so stupid, I'm never going to get this right. Expressing sentiments like that, being very hyper aware of making mistakes and not getting things right or correct. Perfectionism is a big thing. I mean, wanting to work at and exceed the expectations is a wonderful thing. However, being really hyper around that would be something to look for as well. Maybe not being as social, with other employees, being kind of aloof, standing off, wallflower, just not socializing, not meshing with the team. I would say things like that.
Those are very important indicators to help us to be aware. I want to explain to our listeners, I am not a person who advocates looking for, but rather just be aware of what you're viewing. That, and I use the term frequently, I just observed a data point, and this is some of the things you just discussed. Now, I want to ask you, and this is probably going to vary person to person, but if I saw enough of these data points, what you just said, man, I'm not sure I could do this. I'm not sure I would measure up. I have such high expectations, and I'll just never. Um, could I approach you in a way that, and again, let's just hope and assume I have trust established with you. But if I were to say something to the effect, Anissa, you're a very capable person, but you don't think you're as capable of yourself as I think you are. Would a starter conversation like that be useful, or would I be on the wrong track?
Potentially. I would advocate maybe taking the employee out of this situation. Hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. Let's go have lunch. Having it really be relaxed, not stuffy. And say, hey, I've noticed some things, and these aren't bad or negative. I just want to know if there is something that leads you to believe this. Is there something that we can work on together? How can I best help you with this? Because I don't see it, and I don't want you to feel that way. Is there something that maybe I'm doing that makes you feel that way?
And that's very good. I am not asking you these questions supposing that I'm the best therapist. That's not my point. But where are we with this? And can I, through a relationship with you, a professional relationship, can I help you through this? Can I help your self-esteem and so forth? Or is this a matter that is going to require professional attention? That's what I'm trying to determine, what is best for you, because underlying all this, and this is, I care about you. And now, and I do definitely agree that let's get a cup of coffee or something like that. Would you feel even that invitation would be imposing on you? That, hey, am I trying to come on to you or something like that? I hope I'm not using an offensive term. Would you possibly interpret anything that way?
As long as there were no other indications prior to that, no. I might be a little worried that I'm going to get fired, and that's why we're having a conversation amongst ourselves. But as long as you haven't done anything prior to that, such as hitting on or what have you, I wouldn't think that way. But that's me. Somebody who might be a little bit more fresh with their trauma might see that as what's going on here. And if you're sensing it, if you have an employee that's been with you maybe a longer period of time, and all of a sudden you see a change in their demeanor and behavior, it might actually behoove you to have a gal, if you're working with a woman, or another male, if you're working with a male, from HR to go with you and say, this is not, considering that the company is that large, if not, maybe another employee or your spouse, really keeping it very low key, but that way they don't feel like they're there alone. And somebody else there to support them. One of the best things you can say is, how can I best support you in this moment? And that's the short term. And then how can I best support you moving forward?
What you said, what you're saying right now is extremely important. I'm the kind of person, Anissa, I would be very guarded being anywhere alone with a person of opposite gender. Only, well, because, well, one, I'm married, Marty. I don't want anyone to have the wrong impression. And, once the distruth travels the earth 7 times before the truth gets out, type thing.
Mm.
But the other thing is, I would not want for you or this employee to feel uncomfortable that, no, we're in a very comfortable surrounding. I want to make sure you know that, no, your job's not at stake at all. It's just that we want to help advance you. And I just have a sense, and I frequently use the term, I just have a sense you're not performing at your peak potential. There may be something holding you back, Anissa, that I would just like to have the freedom to discuss this in the presence of, knowing that we're here to help you advance, that your job is not at stake. I just want to make sure we've cleared the ground in that regard.
When you say operating at your fullest potential, I would add maybe not even professionally, but personally.
Okay.
Let them know that, the job's not at stake. And you can really say, I've noticed some changes over the last couple of weeks or months. You're not quite the bright and bubbly self that you once were. Tell me what's going on. Are you okay? Is everything okay at home? Has things changed in your life? Are you not happy at at the job? Are you not happy with the company? Where is this stemming from? And, what can we do to support you in this moment?
Okay, good. What would be some of the, from your experience, typical responses that would lead me as a company executive to think this is beyond us? This person needs more help than what we can provide them as just a normal course of work and the environment, culture, and so forth.
I would say something to the effect of, please understand, not only am I your employer, boss, manager, whatever, but I'm also your friend. I care for you, and I'm a human being, and I want to help you. What is the best way to help you moving forward? Obviously, I can't do that. Would helping you find someone to talk to, would that be of assistance? And again, if you're big enough that you've got HR, let's get HR in here and let's see what resources they have available to us. But let's get you, back on track. Let's help you get back to that, wonderful, vibrant person you were. And not that you're not wonderful right now. I just want to see your sparkle a little bit better.
Is setting up an environment where we offer the person an opportunity to talk through, not necessarily relive the past, but I think what I'm asking, Anissa, is it generally therapeutic to just talk about what the past was that's affecting your current position, your current thought process, or is that too much of reflecting on the past?
Do you mean employer to employee?
Yes, in this case, employer to employee. Okay.
That is not a conversation that any employer should be having with their employee. Now, if your employee discloses it, then that's their choice. However, I would not press them for anything. If an employee says, some things have changed at home, or what have you. I mean, clearly, if you see an employee come in and they have bruises because they're being beaten at home, we call the cops. We call in HR, we call it the cops. Like, we don't pass go, we don't collect $200. This is about safety. However, if you're having this conversation with an employee and it's just because you've really noticed some things have changed, You don't feel like their safety is in jeopardy. That is not anything you should be pressing for details. If they say things have changed at home, I'm not happy. Okay, how can I best support you in this moment? Would you like to go talk to somebody? Are you in therapy? What can we do?
And Anissa, I want to make it very clear that nothing I'm asking you is related to pressing for details. I'm merely asking the person, would it be useful to, in, yes, safety, bruises, anything such as that? Certainly, it's possible that we might want to offer to intervene to if it's for their safety, moving out of wherever they are, whatever. But no, I would never press for details, but would you feel comfortable discussing it? My question really, Anissa, is only in the context that if the person felt comfortable disclosing, talking about anything, is there value in, is a therapeutic value in just relating some of the past? And again, it's under their premise. No, I'm very willing to discuss this with you, but I would never press for those details. But if in your professional opinion, recounting any part of the past there's nothing positive in that, we need to know that.
When we started this conversation, you said, give me the 30,000-foot synopsis.
Yes.
I think that's a great way of saying, give me a general gist of what's going on. And if the employee does talk, listen. Stop talking. Just listen. You're a human being, first and foremost. And offer them the compassion and grace to talk and to release this and to express it. If the employee is not wanting to, do not press. Is there any therapeutic value in it? There might be. However, more than likely the employer is not a professional mental health or, what have you, professional. So they don't have the skills. Again, asking for the 30,000-foot synopsis is a great way of just getting a general gist of what's happening, but not asking any major details. And from a therapeutic standpoint, talk therapy is a wonderful thing. It's a great start in the healing cycle. You have to have awareness. And so discussing it brings about awareness. That's the first step. Again, if the employee releases that information to you, that's wonderful. If not, that's okay too. They will do that in talk therapy if they choose to go. But no, I wouldn't say that there's any major therapeutic benefit to them telling you specifically.
For the person who has experienced some form of trauma, do you get over that, or do you just know how to deal with it?
Both.
Okay.
Will it ever leave me? No, it'll never leave me. It's part of me. It's part of who I am. It's part of who the person I've become. It's part of my life, and it's made me who I am today. So it'll always be with me. That being said, I function with it. It doesn't bother me. It is not in my face. I don't think about it every day. Even though I work in the industry, I don't think about either of my rapes every day. I'm always progressing in my own healing journey. And as more and more time gets between me and those incidents and the work that I do, they bother me less and less.
I want to take a very brief moment to tell you about myself, the Cooper Culture, a certified veteran-owned small business. I am a retired lieutenant colonel serving the Air Force for 22 years as an F-4 pilot, commander. I have 300 combat missions. I specialize in executive leadership training, team building, and workplace culture, where we help businesses to develop a culture of loyalty, trust, and by developing personality traits and personal strengths, we can help identify those traits that support the company's objectives. We do this through half-day and all-day training shops. I'm also a public speaker where I welcome the opportunity to speak with your group to help you develop your team to the point where people are loyal and they know exactly how they fit in the organization and contribute to your strategic objectives. Through that, you will have a very profitable company and a psychologically safe space where people know they can freely discuss everything about the company themselves, and we are always working together to progress. Contact me at ron@thecooperculture.com. Our website is thecooperculture.com. Look forward to the opportunity to speak with your group, work with your group, to take your group to the next level to where we soar together. Let's work together. Are there some environments, I want to say, too much light, too much noise, too much darkness, something that could trigger some thoughts of that? And again, I'm trying to address this in a leadership perspective, that as we get to know our employees who may have experienced some sort of trauma, we want to have the environment such that the environment is conducive to a good work environment, and any number of things might trigger different things I just want to be aware of. And that's, I don't even know that I'm phrasing my question intellectually so you can understand it, but I'm trying to learn to set up a culture that is right for you meaning our employees, and I want to help you in the best way I can.
Safety first.
Okay.
If your employees are working at night, do they have a safe way to get to their vehicle? Is the parking lot well lit? Can someone walk them out? They probably shouldn't be alone in a building by themselves. None of your employees should probably be alone in a building by themselves. There should be, at the very least, a buddy system, if not 3. Things like that. So as a woman, and I'm sure a lot of women will agree with this, if I have to be out at night, I always try to park underneath a street leg. And when I get to my vehicle, I always look underneath to make sure no one's underneath my vehicle. And I always look in the back seat. That's before I get into the vehicle. That is just something as women, a lot of us do to just be safe. How can we make it so women don't have to feel that way if they have to work late? Things like that. Making sure the lights are on. If they are working late, making sure the lights are on in the building. Making sure there's security, or locked doors or whatever it is they need to ensure safety.
And I appreciate very much what you're saying. I think Marty has I won't ask you, but I want to ask you something, could be a little bit humorous, but I'm serious when I ask you. There are some women who say, I don't need no stinking man. I am woman. Don't walk me to the car and make me feel I'm some lesser person. I can take care of myself. Is that a factor at all we need to, or just, hey, just tolerate me for the 2 minutes it takes to get you to the car?
We have choice. And if a woman decides that she doesn't want it, don't press it. I mean, that's fine. That's her choice. Now, if something should happen, that was her choice. She chose to walk to her vehicle by herself. And there's plenty of women who feel that way. And that's totally cool. Just having the option that's available is a wonderful thing. That means you're thinking of your employees. If they do not wish to take part in that, that's cool. That's their choice.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I can be at times a very protective person, and Yes, it is your choice, but I would feel terrible if something happened and I thought, gosh, I could have avoided that if I would have just forced myself in this situation. But anyway, no, I appreciate what you're saying.
I just want to go back to where you said your trauma is who you are. There are steps that you had to take to get to the point where it doesn't bother you as much. So, and this may be a part of your business, and we could share how people could get a hold of you, but just a couple of steps that took you to I'm okay.
The first thing was coming into awareness, talk therapy. Like I said, talk therapy is a great starting point. From there, I realized I was on the hamster wheel of talk therapy, and I really wasn't getting any closure. I wasn't moving forward in the healing journey. Then I learned to add yoga therapy. My mat literally saved my life. I would not be here if it was not for my yoga mat.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was part of it, moving the trauma then out of my body. Then I got to a point where, okay, I'm feeling great after yoga. And then I go back into talk therapy and I feel like crap again. So there's got to be something, and that took me to a bunch of neuro techniques that I actually learned how to do for others. Those neuro techniques are so amazing. I can actually, in my mind's eye, I can watch what happened to me, and I can see it in black and white, and I can watch the whole thing, and I'm not emotionally charged by it. And that's an amazing thing, because it'll always be with me. However, it doesn't have to define me, and it doesn't have to emotionally charge me. It doesn't have to trigger me. And that's where I'm at. It doesn't trigger me. I have very few triggers now, thank goodness. And I'm also able to really manage the ones, if I do have, because they're not quite as intense and fierce. And I know that I am safe. And that's the biggest thing, is just knowing that you are safe.
So at that moment you have a trigger, do you go back to your yoga mat?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am like Linus with my yoga mat. In fact, I even had a couple of surgeries, and I took my mat with me to the hospital. And my husband was laughing. He's like, "You can't even get on for at least 6 weeks." I said, "Yeah, I know, but it's my best friend. It's my confidant. I can tell it anything, and it goes nowhere. And my practice looks different from day to day, depending on what my needs are. However, it's always there to support me. I'm blessed."
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
For those maybe less familiar with yoga and so forth, is it the mental exercise that you're trying to get control over the mental facilities, or am I way off track with even asking this?
When you are on a yoga mat, you have to be present. You have to be there in the moment. If you're not, you will fall over. It's bound to happen. When you have PTSD or trauma, even chronic stress, and you have depression and anxiety makes us live in the future and worry. Depression makes us live in the past. And so you're not present. So in order to be on your mat, you have to be there in the moment. You let go of the anxiety. Your mind stops that racing. You let go of the depression. You let go of that. And you're just present. And that's such an amazing thing. And even if it's just for an hour that you're present, you give your mind a chance to relax. I do some of my best problem solving on my mat, believe it or not. I get on my mat, my brain clears, I'm doing my thing. And then all of a sudden, an answer will just pop in my mind of something that I've been working on. And I'm like, of course, there's the answer. It is the most amazing and beautiful thing that can occur. And for folks who are dealing with trauma, anxiety, depression, it might be the only hour that day that they are present.
Would it be fair to say that at that moment, you are in the moment, you're capable of separating the peripheral things that are distractors, those things that are causing anxiety and so forth. You're able to focus on the good. I'm probably very oversimplifying it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It all melts away, and it's just you and this 2x6 mat. And it's an amazing thing.
As you look back on your life, how long has it taken you, just in general, to be comfortable with yourself that what used to be no longer controls you? And I mean,
long.
Okay. Okay, what I'm trying to ask you is for the listener. Okay, it's not going to be 1 or 2 sessions. It's not going to be 1 or 2 weeks. I'm guessing it could take a period of time of therapy to get over this.
With yoga therapy, most of my clients say that they feel a difference right after the first session. Now, that being said, it's kind of like chiropractic care. You have to keep going to keep it up. And then your sessions can be spaced out farther and farther apart as you are doing more and more healing. I've had clients that have been with me for 3 months. I've had clients that are with me for 3 years. There is no timetable. It's like grief. There's no timetable. Everybody does it in their own perfect timing. And some people just like to stay and keep doing yoga with me because they just really like how it feels, whether they're still grieving or healing or what have you. And that's a wonderful thing as well. Some people are like, you know what, I've done my thing here and it's time to move on. And that's okay too.
For the person who is encapsulated with everything we're talking about here, how would they contact you? And does your therapy need to be in person? Can you do it virtually? How do you work?
I do everything online. I currently live in Manhattan, Kansas, where the livestock outnumber the people. And I can tell you the cows don't really dig the yoga, but the bison like it. And don't even ask me how I know that. So I do everything online. I'm actually global. And so I can work with anyone, anywhere in the world, which is really amazing. And the yoga is all done online as well as the neuro techniques. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to do this across the globe.
Anissa, we're going to include information about how the listeners can get in contact with you. And would it be through the would it normally start website? They contact you, and then that's how you start a relationship?
Absolutely. PhoenixWomenHealing.com. And I'm on all the socials, well, for the most part. I'm not on TikTok or I'm not groovy like that. But you can find me on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. I'm on all the major ones. And I'm like a bad penny. I just keep showing up. So you can find me.
All right, that's great. Anissa, we appreciate everything that you are doing now. I frequently say your past does not define who you are, but it may inspire you to be who you are. And it sounds as if you would exemplify that your past has inspired you to be who you are, to help those become the person they could be after having experienced something they wish they couldn't have, but we cannot alter the past.
Exactly. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's great to be with you. And we will do everything we can to have others work with you to get over their past.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life experiences with you.
The Cooper culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.